I stared at the polished mahogany desk, its surface gleaming under the dim office lights. For 30 years, my father had sat here, his presence a formidable force that built Chen Construction into the powerhouse it was today. Now, my brother Michael lounged in his chair like a king surveying his kingdom. Technically, it was his, ever since Dad's stroke 3 months ago. "You can't be serious," I said, my voice steady despite the storm of anger churning inside me. Michael smirked, adjusting his tie with an air of smug superiority. "I've never been more serious. The company needs stability, Elizabeth. And let's be honest, a woman running a construction firm? It's not exactly a reassuring image for our clients." I clenched my fists under the desk, nails digging into my palms. "I've been running operations for 5 years. The employees trust me. The clients need a strong leader," he interrupted, leaning forward. "Male leadership." I swallowed the rage rising in my throat. "My name is Elizabeth Chen. At 35, I was being pushed out of the company my grandfather had built from nothing. While Michael partied his way through college, I spent my summers learning every aspect of the business: blueprint analysis, cost estimation, project management. I had earned my place here. We're losing contracts because you keep underbidding projects without understanding the real costs," I shot back. "The Miller development alone is going to put us in the red by $500,000. Michael's expression darkened. "I don't need business advice from my little sister." He leaned back, feigning disinterest. "The board agrees with me. We need strong leadership right now." I glanced at the framed photo of the board members on the wall. Michael and his 3 golf buddies, all appointed after Dad's stroke. None of them had any real construction experience. They were just his yes-men, repaying old favors. "What about Dad?" I asked quietly. "He always said—" "Dad's not here," Michael snapped. "He's in a nursing home, and I'm in charge now." He stood, straightening his suit jacket. "You have until the end of the week to clear out your office." His lips curled into a cold smile. "Oh, and don't bother asking for severance. The board has decided your recent performance issues justify immediate termination." I forced my face into a neutral expression, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing my pain. "Is that all?" "That's all," he said, already looking at his phone. "Close the door on your way out." I walked out with my head high, ignoring the pitying looks from the staff. Many of them had watched me grow up, had seen me work twice as hard to prove myself. They knew the truth. My assistant, Jenny, stood by my desk, eyes red-rimmed. "Miss Chen, I heard. I'm so sorry." "Don't be." I started packing my personal items. "This isn't over." "But, what will you do?" I picked up a framed photo of my grandfather standing proudly in front of his first job site, next to a picture of my father and me reviewing blueprints when I was 12. Both had believed in me, had seen beyond gender to recognize true dedication. "I'm going to build something better," I said. "And when I'm done, they're going to wish they hadn't underestimated me." That evening, I sat in my apartment, reviewing my finances. Unlike Michael, who had always relied on the family money, I had been saving and investing since my first summer job. Between my savings and smart investments, I had a decent nest egg, not enough to compete with Chen Construction head-on, but enough to start something new. My phone buzzed. My best friend, Kate, a successful architect, didn't bother with pleasantries. "Tell me you're not sitting at home brooding." "I'm not brooding. I'm planning." "Good. Get dressed. We're getting drinks, and you're telling me everything." An hour later, tucked into a booth at our favorite bar, I recounted the confrontation. Kate listened, her martini glass poised mid-air. "That misogynistic little weasel," she muttered. "Please tell me you're going to destroy him." "Eventually," I said, stirring my drink. "But first, I need to build something of my own." Kate's eyes gleamed. "Maybe you don't have to start from scratch. Remember the sustainable building project we pitched last year? I nodded. I had fought hard for it, eco-friendly materials, solar integration, but Michael dismissed it as too risky. Well, Kate continued, I've got 5 clients asking for similar projects. The market's finally caught up. But I need a construction partner who understands the technology. My pulse quickened. You're saying? I'm saying I have millions in potential contracts sitting on my desk. What do you say? For the first time since Michael fired me, I felt real hope. Tell me more. 2 hours later, our business plan took shape. Innovative Construction Solutions, ICS, would specialize in sustainable commercial projects. Instead of competing with traditional firms, we would carve out a niche. The next morning, I made 2 important calls. First, to Tom Martinez, my former head project manager. I was wondering when you'd call, he said. I'm in. Sarah too. Just like that. Michael's a disaster waiting to happen. Last week, he approved materials for the Miller project that don't meet code. When I told him, he said to make it work and hung up. My second call was to David Wong, my father's attorney. Your non-compete isn't enforceable, he assured me. You're free to start your own company. Over the next 2 weeks, momentum built. Kate introduced me to clients. Tom and Sarah joined, bringing industry relationships. I secured a business loan, leased equipment, and set up an office in Kate's building. Jenny, my former assistant, came on board, too. Then Michael noticed. A cease and desist letter arrived, accusing me of stealing proprietary information. David handled it swiftly. Baseless harassment, he said. The next day, Michael stormed into my office. What do you think you're doing? I looked up calmly. Running my business. His face twisted in rage. This isn't over. No, I agreed. It's just beginning. That afternoon, I signed contracts for our first 2 projects, a $5 million eco-friendly office and a $3 million warehouse renovation. Both clients had pulled out of deals with Chen Construction after meeting Michael. As I looked at the signed agreements, my phone rang. Miss Chen, your father, he's asking for you. He's speaking again. I rushed to the nursing home, heart pounding. My father, sitting up in bed, looked at me and whispered, Elizabeth, my girl. Tears filled my eyes as I took his hand. Dad, I've missed you. His face darkened. Michael, he's making mistakes. He nodded slowly, his eyes filled with understanding. The nurses allowed me to stay and watch the business news. Channel 10 just reported that Chen Construction stock is dropping, I muttered, glancing at the screen. I shouldn't have been surprised. Even in his weakened state, my father remained as sharp as ever, keeping tabs on the empire he had built from the ground up. I started my own company, Dad, I said softly, hesitating before continuing. After Michael fired me. His grip on my hand tightened slightly. Tell me. For the next hour, I explained everything. The sustainable building projects, the innovative team I had assembled, the contracts we had already secured despite our small beginnings. My father, despite his lingering weakness, listened intently, nodding occasionally and asking carefully considered questions. His mind was as sharp as ever. You saw the future, he said finally. Green building. Innovation. Michael is stuck in the past. I learned from you, Dad, I replied. You always said we had to look ahead, anticipate where the industry was going. A tear slipped down his cheek. I should have protected you. Made sure the company went to the right person. Don't, I said firmly. This isn't your fault. And maybe it's better this way. I needed to build something of my own. He managed a small, proud smile. Strong. Like your mother. The mention of my mother, gone since I was 15, made my throat tighten. She had been brilliant, fearless, never letting anyone tell her what she couldn't do. I tried every day to live up to her example. "The doctors say you're getting stronger," I said, changing the subject. "Soon, you'll be able to come see our projects." "Yes," he agreed. "Want to see what you build." That evening, as I drove home, his words echoed in my mind. He understood. He believed in me. His approval meant more than any contract or business success ever could. The next few months were a whirlwind. IC's first projects progressed smoothly, our innovative approach drawing attention. Trade magazines featured our sustainable building methods, and new clients started reaching out. Meanwhile, Chen Construction floundered. Michael's mismanagement was taking its toll. Projects running over budget, unhappy clients, a stock price in freefall. Word spread that they were struggling to secure new contracts. One morning, Tom rushed into my office, breathless. "The Miller development is a complete disaster," he said. "The substandard materials Michael approved? They failed inspection. The whole project is shut down." I leaned back, processing the news. The Miller development was Chen Construction's crown jewel, a $50 million luxury apartment complex. A shutdown now would be catastrophic. "That's not all," Tom continued. 3 other major clients are considering pulling their contracts. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. I pulled up Chen Construction's stock price. It had plummeted 70% in the past 6 months. Tom studied my expression. "What are you thinking?" I reached for my phone. "I think it's time to make a move." Kate answered on the first ring. "I assume you've heard about the Miller disaster?" "Yes," I said. "And remember our conversation about expanding IC? You said we needed more capital before we could take on bigger projects. But what if, instead, we acquired an established company? One with infrastructure already in place?" She paused. "You want to buy Chen Construction?" "They're going to need a buyer," I said. "Who better than someone who knows the company inside and out?" Kate exhaled. "That's brilliant. And crazy. Can you afford it?" I smiled. "Actually, I can." Over the next week, we worked with financial advisors and attorneys to craft our offer. The numbers were tight, but the opportunity was undeniable. I arranged a meeting with Chen Construction's board, bypassing Michael entirely. The boardroom was tense. Michael, disheveled and angry, sat at the head of the table. "Gentlemen," I began, setting down my proposal. "I'm here to offer a solution." Michael scoffed. "We don't need solutions from you." One of the board members silenced him. "Go on, Miss Chen. We're listening." I outlined my offer, a $2 million buyout, assumption of all debt, and a plan to merge Chen Construction's traditional business with IC's innovative approach. As I spoke, I saw the board members' expressions shift from skepticism to interest. When I finished, there was silence. Then Michael laughed. "This is a joke. Where would you even get that kind of money?" I turned my tablet toward them, showing proof of funds. Michael's face went pale. "Unlike you, I've been planning for the future," I said. The board asked for 48 hours to review. I agreed. They wouldn't find a better offer. 2 days later, they accepted, on one condition. They wanted to keep the Chen Construction name for the traditional division. I agreed. It felt right. Michael stormed out, threatening lawsuits, but our deal was airtight. 1 month later, I stood in my father's old office, now mine. The merger was complete. Chen Construction and IC were one. "How does it feel?" my father asked when he visited. "Different than I expected," I admitted. "But good." Kate burst in, grinning. "We landed the airport contract, $50 million. My father's eyes shone. "Your biggest project yet." That night, I placed 3 photos on my desk. My grandfather, my father and me, and my team at our first sustainable building site. 3 generations. 3 visions. 1 belief. With determination, skill, and the right people, you could build anything. I touched each photo gently, honoring the past while looking to the future. Then, I turned to my computer. After all, I had an empire to build.